Continuing with the pineapple incident for now, though, there is one aspect of the pineapple incident that I think that kind of sums it all up, like we were talking about, which is about Ted just not remembering. And for the most part, we've been figuring out all of the little mysteries here and there. And I really want that to be the one that we don't. There's another big one that they haven't touched upon yet, and I will kind of hope that they throw that into the mix with the last episode if they do it in the way that I want them to. And it's kind of like the ungrateful fan. If they don't make it this certain way, then I'm going to be kind of annoyed, and that's the love solutions person that was supposed to be a perfect match for Ted. I naturally want that to be the mother. And if they don't mention it, then I'm going to assume that it wasn't, and that's okay. But if they do mention it and it turns out not to be the mother, I'm just going to be irked.
I don't think they would do that, because they've been setting up all season just how similar she is to Ted. If they bring that up again, it has to be her.
Do you think that it could be anybody else? Do you think that they're going to throw a little reference out there to a past girlfriend, or just say, oh, it was somebody else? Doesn't matter.
Could be Stella.
I hope it's not Stella.
I do, just because I'm a huge Scrubs fan. And
yeah, well, at that point, why not have it be Donald Faison?
Hey, it could be Turk.
Some little guy love going on.
Crossover. Zach Braff appears on the show. That's fantastic. They're friends.
If it was going to be any crossover, I'd go with Leslie Knope, but that's just me.
Well, if they do make the Love Solutions person be the mother, I think that's potentially a little bit of overkill, but a good way to really hit home that point that they are similar, like Ronnie was saying, where you really have this sensibility right now that they're meant for each other, but that would kind of put like the icing on the cake, a little cherry on top, that they were meant for each other back then, and Ted just needed to grow up a little bit more. And
I think it would make me hate Robin more, honestly, that he, put off meeting the mother for 8 years because he needed to be with Robin that badly, and it ended so horribly.
Well, there's a lot of hate for Robin, and I'm 50-50 on that. I mean, I like Robin's character, but when it comes to whether or not I'm defending Ted, then there's a different story. Part of that becomes, since I'm very much like Ted, I've been told by a bunch of different people that I am Ted Mosby, and people that don't even know me too well. But a friend of ours, for the people that are around the same area as me, named Brett, who might be listening in, I don't know. Hey, Brett, if you are. He always refers to me as Mosby whenever we bump into each other in public and stuff like that. But I'm very defensive of Ted. So when I see things that Ted does that I do, and people like make fun of him for it or whatever, I'm like, Ted's right. Like they got all doing the fart noises and stuff when he's trying to bring a little bit of class into that, and I'm like, damn it, Ted, finish the sentence. The hell with them. Like, I want to know what this point is, Ted. And when it comes to Robin, from a fan perspective, I like the character, but I would hate her so much if I were in Ted's position, because she just screws him over constantly, doesn't she?
Well, especially after that last episode. God, I would have killed her.
Yeah.
Just now you're going to be saying this?
9 freaking years, and this is when you want to tell me how you feel? You're dead.
Well, she kept them on a string for 8 years. Don't forget the episode last season when, right before she went to Russia, she was ready to be with him again, and she was just like, no, it's not going to happen, sorry.
Jamie, what do you think about Robin? From a different perspective, is that like a justified way for her to go about things, or is she being a bitch?
I've been 50-50 with Robin over the series. There's been times where I liked her, and then there's times where I absolutely hated her, mainly because I also connect with Ted a lot, and I relate to him, and it would, kill me to have someone like that in my life, constantly, stringing me along like that. So whenever she does things to him that gives him hope, I don't know. That's just when I absolutely hate her. And then when they're like friends, I don't mind her. I don't know. She's just been up and down for me throughout the series, and I mean I've kind of liked. I liked her from the start, and then I don't know. I like the way her character did develop, though, and I feel like for Ted, if it weren't for her, though, I don't think Ted would have matured, so or like have his character develop either. So I think like it kind of starts falling into place as the seasons go on. So I kind of have to give her props for that. Not quite sure if anyone else agrees.
I don't like her because she's Canadian.
Pulling a Barney Stinson on it, right?
Oh, yeah. He's got hockey on their money.
I will give Robin a little bit more credit when it comes to her stringing along Ted, that she's far better at doing that in a justifiable way than Ted is with Henrietta. Poor Henrietta. My God, she's baking cakes and making a whole bunch of food for him and thinking that he's going to propose. And
the foot massages. Don't forget the massages.
Yeah. That's something I love about this series, was they're so honest with stuff. Even the main characters can be assholes at times just because they're human. And, you know, the way that he calls Tiffany in that episode, he's just, hey, Tiffany, what's up? Oh, I got to leave. Sorry, Henrietta. Like, that's so perfect because that kind of situation does happen in real life. And they don't, you know, manipulate it in a way to make it just seem like Ted is perfect, Barney's perfect, Robin is, you know, this infallible angel type of a person, and Lily is this heart of the group, and, you know, everybody's got that dark side to them. Ted's kind of the intellectual of the group, but can be a total pompous ass about it. And
encyclopedia.
Yeah, encyclopedia. And, you know, there's the that sort of dark edge that Lily has. Obviously, Barney has a dark edge, but he's more so dark edge than anything else. And they have to do the opposite with him, where he has to show that he has a heart every once in a while. But that's something I've really been fond of about this show. Too many shows make their characters infallible, or they make a villain out of everybody who's not a main character, and you have to just kind of instantly hate them. Even shows that I like. I mean, I'm guilty of liking The Big Bang Theory, and nobody really screws up on that show other than generic sitcom stuff. There's not a whole lot of weight to that. There's so much weight on How I Met Your Mother.
Which is brings up an even better question of why they never won an Emmy, but...
Oh, they never did?
No.
Oh, God, that's ridiculous. How could they not win it? Well, nobody won for, like, Neil Patrick Harris didn't win or anything like that?
He was nominated, but
I think
he never
been
won.
Nominated.
You son of a bitch.
I had to hit that. That is a shame. They should have won at least one time one of the seasons for Best Show.
I agree. Absolutely.
Can't believe that they would do that. Well, you know what? I can believe, because a lot of that's just BS, but...
Oh, yeah.
Everybody that I know that's watched this show has had a strong reaction to it. Either they're a huge fan of it, or they absolutely hate it. And maybe that's one of the things that got into the way for the show. The people that really, really loved it just didn't have enough pull with the people that picked the Emmys and everything.
I don't understand how you could hate this show.
Me neither, but my girlfriend hates it. A bunch of friends of mine just can't stand it. I think it's really endearing, and I think that maybe there's just some kind of a disconnect when it comes to the characters, because you have to love the characters on this show. The concept, too, but if you don't get into the characters, then you're not going to be somebody who's crying like we are going to be tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the reasons, like, I've had friends who absolutely hate it. One of the things they hate it is because I guess it just romanticizes the idea of love and how it works. And they're like, that's so unrealistic. But at the same time, I feel like although it's a TV show and there are aspects of it that are unrealistic and just wouldn't happen in real life, there's things that are said in the show, mainly out of Ted, that just kind of resonate with how you tend to feel in like relationships or with friendships or just any kind of relationship you have with the person. And I feel like the people who hate it don't get to really see those points or see those scenes. They just kind of base it off of what they hear, or they watch one episode and they're like, I'm not hooked. And so like I've noticed that the people that do like it are the people who can connect with the characters, and if you can't connect with any of them, I feel like, oh, then yeah, I guess the show is just lost on you. I don't know.
I think some of it might be about whether or not you're sentimental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to necessarily say soft, but that might be another synonym to use for that too. Because I'll admit it, I am.
And I think you actually have to think too. It's not just like, here's generic sitcom humor, laugh.
Right, nobody's just falling down for the sake of falling down, and you're supposed to laugh because, oh, they got hurt. Haha, isn't that funny?
Except for Marshall falling back in the chair, but that's...
Even that, they did a lampshade on it, and it was like, that's what passes for comedy. Oh, look at this, I'm going to fall back. Oh, look, crap, I am falling back. Like, just to throw it out there for the slapstick fans that are out there. But I've loved their sense of humor on this show, and the sentimental side of it as well. So when it comes to, like Jamie was saying, the poignant moments, and they're bringing up things like the Gary Blauman episode that just passed by, what a great way to sum up the fact that you do end up losing track with people, and you just don't know what happens in their life, and if you really want them to stick around, then you have to work for it.
Yeah, I mean, so many people just fall through, and even with a tight group like that, I think Ted even said in the Robots versus Wrestlers episode that not even they are as close, but they do have their moments where they make sure to see each other.
And what a sad moment too. One of the best moments of the series, I think, on that one episode in, I believe it was season 7. Might be season 8, but I'm not 100% positive, where Ted has the tickets to Robots versus Wrestling, and he's the only one sitting in the bar.
That was season 8.
Season 8.
Season 8
I love that episode.
That was another honest moment where you just kind of sit there and you're like, the feels.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have that sentimental side, I don't know if that really resonates with you.
And also, if you're not invested in Ted as a character, then that's not really going to hit you as hard as it would. Because if someone was just watching that episode as their first episode of How I Met Your Mother, they probably wouldn't care.
True. Something else that would do the same feeling is Bad News. The episode that counts down, which I didn't know that it counted down either. Do you guys know that? The one with...
Yeah, when that was pointed out to me after I watched it for the first time, so naturally I immediately went back and watched it again and was just amazed by that.
Yeah, I caught that after like a couple times of watching myself.
I didn't catch it at all until maybe a couple months ago. And I just, stumbling along something on Reddit or something like that, and bang, somebody brings that out, and I'm just like, oh my god, I missed this. And that shows you the level of detail that they put into this show and how they are perfectly willing to let something go by and not call attention to it. Community is another example of a TV show that does that as well, but we're talking about How I Met Your Mother here. That kind of attention to detail, and that, I don't know if I would say that devotion to just the extra, but they're willing to go that little bit extra to make sure that the fans that are huge and really into the show and are going to obsess about it from every angle are going to get little things here and there about that. Instead of just, look, we're going to trudge through this episode as fast as possible. This is the story. We're going to tell that, and that's the end. Because you don't really get anything necessarily out of watching the fact that it counts down, other than that satisfaction of a fan of, that's so cool. Like, it doesn't help the episode. It doesn't make the meaning of the episode any different or whatever, but by the end you reach the same point, and that's one of the best episodes I think that they've ever done, that really shows that it can tie in the comedic element and the dramatic one. Because I don't know about you guys, but when they did that episode, I had it in the back of my mind that I was just like, they're focusing a lot this season on Marshall's father. I don't know if that's just like they really wanted to incorporate a lot with him, and he was like, oh, whenever you want me on an episode, I'll be a part of it, or if they're building towards something. And when it came to that episode, I put it all aside for some reason, and God, they hit me. That was just amazing.
I think that's probably the most emotional episode they had done up until recently. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I know that it almost got me to cry. So far, I'm doing pretty good when it comes to crying at stuff. I've only cried at 3 movies, and I've only cried at 1 TV show 1 time. And that almost got me.
What I heard is that Jason Segel didn't know what she was going to say. Like, he just knew that his cue to react was the word it. Like, the last thing she said was he didn't make it. So when he heard the word it, that's when he knew, okay, it's my turn to react. So I don't know if that's true, but apparently that reaction was genuine.
Yeah, on the Inside the Actors Studio that they just did the other day, they were talking about that scene, and they said that that was all done just that one take, even. So that's the first time that he was told his father's going to die on the show. And what's her name? Allison Hannigan was saying, like, oh, well, you know, let's reset and do another one. And they were like, no, it's perfect. Like, you don't have to do any more. That's exactly what we were going for. Dedication for the actors as well to do that, because not many people can pull that off.
And the chemistry, too, man. Especially between Jason Segel and Allison Hannigan. They never missed a beat.
Oh, go ahead, finish.
No, that's it. You can go.
There's a great moment in that scene that shows that off, I think. And that's when he goes to hug her and then breaks down after that. I don't know if that was a conscious choice or not, but I always read that as him going like, oh, I'm supposed to comfort Lily. Wait a minute, now it's hitting me that, you know, my father's dead, and breaking down and all that. In retrospect, that's one of those things that really hits me harder now. Over the past year, I lost my dad, and I can't watch that scene now without getting teary-eyed. Even more than I did originally when I watched the show. But that's got me now. I mean, ugh. When I got to that, when I was rewatching the first 8 seasons, I was just like nervous as all hell. I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to watch this scene. I'm going to have to do this when nobody's around, just in case.
Aww.